And we're done.
Good night, everybody.
I should be able to. That's weird.
What?
I was trying to put the banner on. It's not letting me.
It said no. The computer says no.
Oh, no. That's interesting. I have the...
We'll tell you if it's interesting.
There we go. Okay. I'm sorry. I was hearing myself talk because I had...
Nope. What'd you do? What'd you do? Hey,
Oh,
no.
no.
What,
Hello.
What are you doing, Paul?
Did I do that?
Yep, you've gone mad with power.
Retro compute.
We always knew you would.
Okay. If I kicked you out, Jack, sorry. I was clicking trying to make something stop, but whatever. Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Here we are.
All right. Let us commence. Oh, do we know what we're talking about as a topic?
No.
I hadn't scrolled to that part of the show notes.
Yeah.
It looks like we don't. Coprocessors, apparently.
Yeah. Do we want to hold off on that or
Do we have an alternative?
no?
Well, then coprocessors it is, baby.
Okay. We'll talk about that. We'll
Sure.
spread this topic over.
I have
many-
used a coprocessor once
Yeah.
for work. So
That's quite possible
I have
that we'll-
one story.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. I might have 0.2 stories, but
I've got none whatsoever, but that's okay.
okay. Well, it'll be
It's
a
not
quick
all about
episode.
me, is it?
No, it's all about me. That's why we
right.
made this clear.
Then we're fine.
It's April 5th, 2020, and welcome to episode 211 of the Retro Computing Roundtable. The RCR is a podcast about retro computer news, nostalgia, collecting, and trying to figure out what to say about the host topic. I am Paul Hagstrom in Boston, and I am joined today by two retro computing enthusiasts. Two parentheses, two.
I get what you did there.
The first of whom is Carrington Vanston.
Yeah,
in
I'm
Toronto.
first, Jack. Suck it.
How are you?
I'm fine. Because I'm first.
That's true.
I'm fine because I won.
And the second of whom is Jack Nutting in Stockholm. How are you?
And second place is the first loser.
That's true.
So
Second place of 2 is the only loser, I'd like to point out. I'm just saying.
Yes. We've all been home too long.
yeah,
Yeah.
really
Anyway, so how's everybody doing?
good. Just hanging in there, hanging in by a thread.
Yeah.
Life is pretty weird. Like there are some things that I'm cool with being at home by myself. That's fine. But also, it's like I haven't had a face-to-face conversation with an actual human being in like I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks or whatever. It's just pretty
I
strange.
envy you.
Yeah.
You keep telling me because of this, I'm gonna get to also enjoy that, but I keep having to talk to people. I'm like, it's a freaking pandemic on. Can't you leave me alone?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. But it is definitely interesting trying to adjust, and I'm definitely feeling quite fortunate, that I live a life that allows for this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a personality that pretty much demands it.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean, I think most of us have the ability to work remotely and that kind of thing, and that's not true for everybody.
True.
So,
Yep.
all right. Well, okay. So I think we are going to make maybe a part A first stab at the topic of coprocessors. So, because it is something that comes up a fair bit, so the question is, we like them, we think they're cool, but does anyone actually use them? And, were there much that of that were developed for your favorite platform, apart from like a CPM running one, like the Apple had the soft card, and I think there was one for the Commodore 64 and the I think it was built into the C128 and stuff like that. But apart from that, or maybe even including that, if there's nothing else, what are they good for? Can we think of something that we can do with them now? Did you ever do anything with them before? So Carrington claimed to have one story.
I claim a lot of things, but yes, I do
So
indeed claim
maybe
to
we can hear
have
that story.
one use of one of these things way back in the late 80s. I don't know what the year is because everything kind of blends together. But when the Mac SE was a thing as a new computer, I loved the SE, by the way. Oh my goodness, that was a great computer. So Macintosh SE, which by the way now everybody wants the SE30. And the SE30 is great, but the SE was fantastic. Like don't be mean to the SE. I loved it. So stand up for the SE. So we had a few Mac SEs at work, and up front at this big factory, there was a couple of receptionists, and one of them up front had a Mac SE on one of those little riser stands that would let the computer like kind of bow forward and back. So it was a little stand that would lift the SE up because little tiny things, and they needed to, for their position, also work with a whole bunch of things from the accounting department, which was the only department in the whole enterprise that was still on PC. So it was all Mac place, all the design parts, all of that was all Mac, but accounting was on PC, and the only person that really had to work with both was the reception desk. So instead of having two computers on the desk, we used a coprocessor and used something called a Mac 86, I think it was called, and that went into the PDS slot on the SE. So that was my only ever time using one. It wasn't even in my own computer. I installed it and I had to be the tech support person for it. My memory is it was either an 8 or 10 megahertz 8086. And the surprise in it was that it didn't come with any RAM. So it was a coprocessor, but said, you got enough memory in that big honking machine of yours. And we did not. And so what it did was it would use up to, I think it was 640K, but maybe I just have it in my mind because who needs more than 640? But I think it would take like 512 or 640K from the Mac, and it would say, okay, that's now the PC's RAM instead. And so we ended up having to upgrade the Mac additionally because of this. And it used its own external floppy disk. It had it gave it a little port, and there was an Apple floppy drive. I think it was called like the Apple PC floppy or something like that, and so it used that, and so it was its own separate floppy disk. And the whole point of doing it was that we would have both a Mac and a PC up front, but only having the one footprint. And overall, it was cheaper and just easier for the person on the desk just to have the one computer. And so that was it. That was the only time I used a coprocessor card or even installed one or whatever. Never in my own computers. Used a lot of cards and things, cache cards, that kind of stuff at the time, but only one coprocessor, and it was so that we could run PC stuff. I didn't say it would be an exciting story. I said it one story. The end.
Yeah, I have at least one, possibly two of those 5.25 inch, those Apple PC drives. They're kind of weird because they look like an Apple product, but yet it is a PC drive inside.
Right. Yeah.
But and I think there were two little like, I don't know what they are, but basically the thing you were talking about, like little cards that you could put in, except I think those are just, the ones I have are drive controller cards. So there's one for the Macintosh 2, I think, and one for the SE. And I think it might be the SE one that I have.
This didn't need a separate card though. This was like the little, the Mac 86 card comes with a cable off it, and then has the connector that you screw to the back, and that you'd plug the floppy drive directly into the SE. So it would just basically, it now gave you a port in the back that you'd plug very similar to how the Apple IIe card works on like an LC.
Yeah, so I think I didn't realize. I'm pretty sure that the card I have is not a coprocessor and is just a controller, which means that there were probably two cards that you could put in that spot that would plug into the PC drive, and I have the dumb one.
You got the dumb one. So I wonder, I guess that would be just so that you could get access to because you could use what was that file exchange thing, Apple File Exchange?
Yeah.
Probably, and then you could therefore use, like if someone's got Word docs or whatever, to convert over. But in this case, it was so that you could run PC stuff.
Did it run acceptably?
No, it ran when PC stuff. It ran DOS. Just not acceptable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, if my memory is, it technically was faster than the Mac it was in. Like I think it. So in that, because of that, I think it was actually a 10 megahertz 8086. So it was a 10 megahertz computer. It's like one of those things. Like, let's put another computer faster than your computer in your computer.
Right.
Sure. Why not do it? Because I think the SE was 8. I think vague memory ish, something like that. So
don't know. It's in that sort of like that time when I barely knew. But I guess I remember that the sort of iBooks and iMacs and stuff like that, the colorful ones were in the like 233, 266 megahertz range.
just looked it up, and yes, it was a 7.8. So Apple would have called it an 8 megahertz. Was the Mac SE?
Apple.
Loved it, loved it, loved it. SE30 is good too. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, come on, man. There were other beautiful computers.
I really like the SE30.
Like I remember in college, a lot of people had the SE, and Paul had the SE30.
Oh, fancy man there with his
and it was clearly
SE30.
it was clearly miles better. Like there was.
Well,
it was
sure,
just-
yeah, but
it was
who
way
else-
faster. It was way better. It was just.
It was actually the funny thing is that it was kind of, it was confused about its ability to do color. Like it sort of it was kind of a color Mac, although it only had a black and white display. So anyway, whatever.
Interesting.
I could do
well, I guess
everything, says the SE30. Look at me. Yeah. I do it all.
So I don't know, Jack, do you have any sort of coprocessor stories? You claimed originally not to.
Yeah, I still don't. I cannot think of a time I've ever used a coprocessor. I think that for the Atari 8-bits, there is this thing called the ATR 8000, which I've never had one. I've been on a couple in auctions and not gotten them. And this was kind of a multi-peripheral thing that gave you like a standard RS-232 and parallel port, and also let you plug in, at the time, industry standard floppies. So you could, like, if you had an 8-inch floppy drive you wanted to connect to your Atari, this is what you would use. And some of these models, some but not all, had a processor on board for running CPM or whatever. But then it was just kind of like your Atari was the keyboard for this thing. You know, it was kind of like using it kind of like your Atari was a terminal to get to this thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that device even had its own. I may be wrong because I've never used one, but I think it had its own monitor output. So like, because it had 80 columns, it had a higher res, for the time, high res monochrome output that you would use. You'd have that alongside of your main display. So it was very much, it's kind of like just sort of wedging another computer into what you already have, but just kind of like for the sake of having one desktop experience for a person, because you'd have just one keyboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was something. I'm forgetting the name of it. Carrington, maybe you'll remember, or actually Jack, maybe you'll remember. But there was something like that. I think it was a Commodore. Might have been a Commodore 64 accessory that was like an Apple II that you could stick on the back of your Commodore 64.
Yes.
All right.
Of Earl's here, he would totally know.
That big box, right?
Yeah.
They sort of plugged into all the ports.
And and the ads had this sort of like scary clown, as I recall. But it'll come to me. But
yeah, I don't remember what it's called. I remember we talked about it some time ago.
Yeah. In the chat, somebody asked whether you would consider the copper in the Amiga a coprocessor, and the Next had a digital signal processor for audio and stuff. I don't know.
Well, in a way, that's true, because like the copper, it was a blitter and other things.
I see.
So, and in that sense, the Atari 8-bits also had a sort of a coprocessor for doing the display stuff. So like, whereas the Apple II, the CPU was heavily involved in drawing the display. On the Atari, it was much less so because there were a couple of custom chips. So yeah, I mean, in a way, those were all examples of a simple coprocessor for doing a specific set of things to relieve the CPU of some other duties. That's true.
But they also came standard too, right? So it was not something you added in.
True.
Though I guess we all had, surely we all at least thought about math coprocessors at some point in our histories. I
never actually bought one or used one.
Ah, interesting.
I don't think I ever did.
I'm trying to remember. I think there was on the sort of like 1990 era Mac. I think there was like a little extension or control panel or something that you could run that would fake your computer out into thinking it had a coprocessor, so you could run some things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. But that was kind of
interesting,
possibly ill-advised. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does seem like if you have a slot for a math coprocessor, like a little socket for it or whatever, that seems it's still a kind of an upgrade in adding a coprocessor of a sort.
Sure, why not? Doesn't seem to be there'd be a downside to it.
Yeah. So I mean, and so one part of the question was kind of like, what did anybody do with these things? I mean, so and I guess, so one example is just run the accounting software or whatever. But I wonder what you would do with it now. I mean, like, I know certainly it's the motivation of trying to get everything to come out of one machine is gone now. I mean, like, if I wanted to use a PC, I could just use the PC that's
Well, no, it's
next
still
to the thing.
there's lots of works, even places I work at now that still use virtualization, but they just don't use a card for it. I think computers are fast enough now; they just run virtual PC or some version of that. They'll run parallels and say, okay, here's your Windows computer. They just throw really fast drives at it and a lot of drive space and just load up RAM and say, okay, whenever you want a Windows, you launch this. So I know lots of people that very Mac heavy operations often still do that for usually again it's remarkably still for accounting stuff, and so the accountant will be on a Mac running virtual PC all the time. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But I know lots of places that still do that today.
Yeah, so maybe the sort of coprocessor era. I mean, like, obviously now the a lot of stuff is offloaded onto graphics cards, but so I guess even now there is still we aren't quite past the era of coprocessors, but
soon they'll be for dedicated bit mining.
yeah, right.
Okay, get your bitcoins. That's technically accounting. Go.
I think there was we used to have a very I think I took it out after a while because it had sat in our show notes as a possible thing for a long time. But I seem to recall somebody, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but I know that the BBC Micro had it's kind of like a dedicated place to attach a coprocessor, and people have experimented with things like attaching a Raspberry Pi and stuff to it. Like a modern coprocessor. And I know we have. Let's see. I know there are a couple of 6809 coprocessors that you can get for the Apple, but the part of the question, I guess, getting back to the thing I was starting to say was just that I don't know what I would do with it now. I mean, like, would I write a little fractal drawing program that would go slightly faster?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, this must have come up like years ago or whatever, but one of the coolest coprocessor options that I am aware of is the one that's inside the Unidisk for the Apple II. And I think, the Commodore drive also has like a 6502 in it. So like people spoke of having, Commodore copy parties where there was no computer involved, like the disk drive just like copied things amongst themselves. And it is possible there's like a little bit of RAM space, a little bit of programming space that you can send a program to a disk drive, the Unidisk, if you wanted to. Like that it was drawing a fractal that made me think about that, because what I think the pipe is very small, so you lose a lot of time if you have to transfer a lot of data back and forth. But if you can tell your disk drive to compute a pixel and just give you the result later, then that might work. Anyway, what else did I? Trying to think if there's any other sort of obvious coprocessor thing. The thing is, I actually myself never used CP/M. I know that these I mean, I've tried it in modern days just a little bit, but
it was never my thing.
What am I talking about? No, I did
what am I talking about? Wait, that wasn't me.
That was CP/M. It was an Epson variant, but
we're losing Paul.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Okay, so I guess I do know CP/M sort of, but I never used it on like a non-native CP/M machine. So, but I guess a lot of people did. There are a lot of soft cards out there for the Apple II and equivalent things for other computers. So
those things seem to really survive. I mean, they come up constantly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it might be interesting to, like the work one, let this topic hang over a little bit so that we can hear what the other people say as well. But
right.
I don't think I have anything super new that I wanted to say. Part of the reason for putting this in at all in the first place was that there was this DTAC grounded, 68,000 thing that you could attach to an Apple II. It was basically a development system for a 68,000, but I suppose if you wanted to, you could use it to compute graphics or something. But yeah, even less was built for that. And I think that's basically always just the thing that I worry about with one of these, is that it might be fun to play with, but it's an academic thing that you're doing for your own amusement. It's no one else is going to benefit from this at all.
Right.
So, okay, all right, maybe that's good enough for now.
That's good enough for now.
We can turn to listener feedback. There's a couple of things. So a little while back, Chris sent an email. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was a link to. It has to do. Fortunately, Blake's not here. It has to do with the pronunciation of that graphical format. So the Verge article pointed out that the GIPHY site has did a little like project with the Jif peanut butter company to make a special little peanut butter thing that, a label that says GIF animated looping images, but it's got actual peanut butter in it. So, and you can no longer buy them, but I think it's kind of funny anyway.
Yes, indeed.
I think, honestly, I might just print the thing, put it on, my own peanut butter. Although, yeah, actually I don't. But yeah, it's kind of funny. It sort of seems like an idea that it's clever at the most superficial level, and then it falls apart like 1.5 levels down. I don't quite understand anymore, but it's sort of funny anyway.
Well, it kind of falls apart as well because the top label kind of implies that they think it should be pronounced, the graphics format should be pronounced with a hard G. Because on the top of it says, if you've ever called a GIF, we forgive you. And that really only works if you're saying, if you've ever called a GIF, we forgive you. So I think they're taking the stance that like, isn't this funny, but we don't actually pronounce it that way. I'm like, oh, you almost had me. I'm going to stick with Skippy or something. I don't know.
I really do think that this. I read it a couple times and it's kind of incoherent, even the labels alone. But
I'm
anyway,
not sure. Like,
funny
it's hard
anyway.
if this label is opinionated. I can't tell what its opinion is. Like, I don't know if the people behind this are saying it should be pronounced GIF or it should be pronounced GIF. What is the message? I do not get it.
Yeah, because I think it's because the one side has GIF and it says soft G pronunciation, and then the other one is GIF and it says hard G pronunciation. I guess it was supposed to be, hey, everybody buy your jars. We don't care what you like, but just please buy our product.
Yeah, so GIF, of course, is the way you actually spell the peanut butter, and that jar says peanut butter and has a little soft G label on it, and the other one has a hard G and says animated looping images. so it seems like their opinion is, in fact, GIF is that you do not pronounce it like the peanut butter.
But that jar contains peanut butter. It does not contain animated looping images. So
that's also true.
Maybe it's just a really high quality looping image that looks like
it's
peanut butter.
lies everywhere.
It's just lies all the way down.
Anyway, okay, so interesting feedback, confusing thing that we're being pointed to, but interesting.
I'm just going to print out a label for my peanut butter that just says PNG and just be done with all of it. That's right. Just forget it.
Peanut
and then when it's empty, I'll just say that's an alpha channel. I've got transparency, so screw you. Done. I'm done with you all.
Okay, let's see. So,
plus, if this was really true, they wouldn't just have a hashtag; they'd have a CompuServe account number on it. Then that would be hardcore legit, and I would buy all the jars. I'm just saying. If you're gonna play this game, Jif and Jiffy, the peanut butter people, then play it at that kind of level.
Gonna go all the way.
Yeah, exactly. Don't mess around.
Okay, let's see. So, I marked this feedback as email, maybe news. But we can call it,
because it is hard to tell the difference between those parts of our show anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But so, and I was actually kind of hoping that Michael would be here because he might know a little bit more about the status of the retro challenge. But the retro challenge seems not to be happening in its official capacity. So Mark has put together a webpage for an unofficial retro challenge retry 2020-04. So I mean, I think basically this is an off-brand retro challenge that's happening when the real retro challenge isn't. So, but otherwise it's organized kind of the same way. So do things with computers, write it up in a blog post. So far there are 4 people participating, and it should go the duration of April.
it's funny because you'd think with so much going on, forcing people to stay at home, there would be more people with time to enter something like the retro challenge. But I guess there's also just so much going on. People have other things they have to deal with, and maybe they're minding other stuff. So it's unfortunate that they didn't get enough entries, I guess, to actually go ahead with the official one. Because I would have thought they'd be swamped with entries. People are like, I got literally nothing else to do, so I'm going to try this.
Oh yeah, and actually, well, I'm not sure that was. Is that why the normal one didn't happen?
I was just assuming that must be the case, because it's not like they gathered together in a single place. Like, what
I think
other reasons would stop it?
My guess is that it just sort of didn't get organized. But,
okay.
But anyway, I think it's quite possible that indeed that many of us going to be stuck with a bunch of time and nearby computers. And it's mildly frustrating, although only mildly, and it almost shouldn't be, I suppose. But for me, all my computers aren't here, and I have to work.
Yes.
so I'm not among the people that has got more time to do this. But anyway, so if you are interested, definitely go check out that webpage. I think they're striving to get enough entries by about the first week of April to make this sort of seem viable. But if they don't, it'll possibly go into May a little bit in order to accommodate late entries. Okay. So, and then Nathan sent an email that, well, maybe I'll talk about that with my thin news item. So stay tuned for Nathan's email.
Stay tuned for more Nathan.
I think that's it. I'll leave it at that for now. So we can move on to the items of interest and news and Carrington's item of whatever that is.
Sure. Before we go on, though, we had a live comment asking a question. I'm not sure if you guys had an answer for it about coprocessors. Did you see that?
We did.
Is that the same one you were talking about? I thought maybe this was a separate one. Okay. I'm going to say, is that the same thing you said? Okay. Well, I was listening. I just wasn't necessarily understanding.
Fair enough. Maybe this was around the time you mysteriously dropped out of the conversation. Also.
It wasn't so mysterious. I get sick of you guys sometimes. I have to reboot.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Should we do my part? My thinking? Okay, I've got a really cool bit of
Swiftly, though.
Everyone's about to see what you did there. Swift, the programming language, 74, April 1st, April Fool's Day, and he points out that it's both April Fool's Day and the anniversary of the founding of Apple, April 1st. So a fellow named Jordan Rose, for his April Fool's Day / what the heck project, decided to create Mac OS 9 software using Swift. So Swift on Mac OS 9. Not something you think would be possible, and it's super cool. So go through the process, and the TLDR here, if you want to just stop listening and go do this on your own, is you can build your own PowerPC capable Swift compiler if you want. He's got all the Git repositories available, and there's links to that. The link we'll have in the show notes to the blog write-up will have what you can type in if you want to make your own Swift stuff for PowerPC. Pretty cool. So this is bridging my current world with Swift with my past world with OS 9 stuff. So I think that's pretty sweet. So the idea here was like the kind of the goal was, okay, what could you do if you want to do Swift stuff for Mac OS 9? How could you do it? And the approach here is to call the Carbon toolbox. And so if you're not used to Mac stuff or classic Mac stuff, you might not know what Carbon is. And in kind of the 5,000 kilometer view of that would be, there was, in the move from old Mac things to OS 10, there were kind of two ways to do things. There was Carbon, which had its own, you could call the old Mac OS toolbox things. It was like, keep doing what you used to be doing, and you'd have a carbonized app. And then there was the new hotness, which was Cocoa. Carbon basically, I think it was with 10.8, something like Mountain Lion, it kind of mostly got depreciated. And then as of Mojave, most recently, it said, well, we're not going to 64-bit, so it's just gone. Like, stop it, please. Apple's been trying to make you stop doing this for many years. They're finally like, we're putting our foot down. Welcome to 64-bit. You can't do it anymore. But it kind of existed right up until then. And then there was also a thing called the classic environment, which was like a sandboxed own thing, basically like running a virtual PC, but for old Mac stuff on a current Mac. So it'd be its own little sandbox app you would run, and that app would run other apps. So that were the kind of the three ways you could do Mac things, two of which gave you access to classic things. So not classic, but Carbon was the Toolbox APIs, and then this little Swift project here lets you write in Swift, but make calls to the Carbon toolbox and then compile it for PowerPC target. So you're going to write in Swift on your modern computer, but package it up so that now you have an app that can run on Mac OS 9. And as he says, is this useful? No, absolutely not. But it's still pretty cool. Now it's also very limited. Like it does at the moment, like you can actually make an app, you can compile it, you can run it on Mac OS 9, either with Sheep Shaver or on an actual old Mac. Very cool. Some things it doesn't do. It currently doesn't support strings. Like there's like, so there's no Unicode support, and that means with Swift there's no strings. So whatever app you're thinking of doing, no strings. So like, to me that's a serious limitation, but okay. So nope. And there's a bunch of standard library things that don't exist. There's no runtime at all, so no dynamic allocation. But like that kind of stuff you can get around. But the lack of Unicode and therefore the lack of all strings, that's maybe a larger one. But still, whatever, you can make a little graphic app or just whatever, just for the fun of it. You can write something using Swift, because a lot of us will have Swift right now. Like I can open up and start typing in Swift, and it's really cool to be able to do that and then save it up for Mac OS 9. So this is neat, and it's kind of what I do now if I want to make Apple II software, because this is great toolchain stuff that you can do on a modern Mac to write things in C or assembler and then just save it out as a pre-assembled binary for Apple II. And so this is kind of that, but for writing to Mac OS 9, the older toolboxes. And so I think that's really cool. You might say it's not useful, but I think it's awesome, and that is more important.
Yeah, I'm not even convinced it's not useful. I mean, like, I guess if the not useful part is writing something that runs on Mac OS 9, then yeah, okay.
Right, okay, but that's right, yeah.
But this seems like actually, I mean, so if you can work around the constraints, it would be pretty cool to be able to use kind of like modern idioms like that. Absolutely.
I'm hoping this is the first step, because I remember it was a bunch of years ago at Kansas Fest is when I did a little demonstration saying, like, I had noticed I invented nothing, but I said, I've noticed these things exist. And if you just put all those together, you can open up a modern Mac and just compile directly to Apple II. And that, with much smarter people, made whole methods now bundled up that you can very easily make Apple II software on a modern Mac. And what I'm hoping is then this is a first step, and then this gets made better. And suddenly it's like, hey, if you want to make an old Mac game for OS 9, but you want to use the computer that's in front of you, like, a couple of years from now, this could be what that becomes. And it's already the case that it's got, you can already make a running app. It's just missing things like, strings and stuff. And so, but that'll all get added. And then I think this is going to be awesome. So I'm hoping that we're eventually using this. If somebody sits down and said, I have an idea for like an old classic Mac app I'd like to make, because it'd be fun. The more you can make the process to create that easier, that the first step shouldn't be, well, go get this other computer and learn to code in a totally different way than you're used to and run this whole other tool chain. And it's just a lot slower. Like, the quicker you can say, I'm here, I type, I hit Command B, and boom, I've got an app that I can test. The faster you can make that, the better. So, and then just say, here, run this. It runs in Sheep Shaver. It says, yes, it's working. No, it's not working. Like, that's the dream. And I think this is, I'm just hoping a really good first step toward that.
Yeah, I would think so. The one kind of thing that I think this could be super useful for is, so you could conceivably like write a fun game or whatever that never was written in the time period, but it would also be useful for interfacing with modern tech. So if you have some sort of like new dongle or whatever that needs a driver or a program to interface with it, you don't really want to go find MPW or whatever
Nice. Right.
and figure out how to make everything be included and then sit for an hour while it compiles. It would be nice to actually just kind of be able to quickly put those things together.
Agreed.
And if it's quick, it makes it reduces the psychological barrier, meaning that it's going to happen, rather than it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And also it's cool. I mean, this isn't just somebody who says, okay, I think I'd like to do this. Here's an idea. Like Jordan went out, executed it, and it's like, here's an example of an app you can load and run. And like, so this is a fully running thing. So I don't want to say like, just because it doesn't support some stuff doesn't mean that this is an existing completed project. Like this is super cool as it is.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Jack, you have the next thing.
Yeah,
More
I feel like
Prince
the
of
last several episodes we've been talking about Prince of Persia. I think it's been me bringing it up every time, one way or another. And I lately found that there is some cool work being done on a new Prince of Persia port. Prince of Persia port.
Nice.
We're back to the more enunciation practicing. Actually, wait, let me. I can share my screen.
That means I need to do something.
Let's do this.
Do it. Share it.
Oh gosh, it's making me. Okay, wait. Tab. Here we go. I'm almost there.
Okay.
So that people
Jack's
who
screen.
are watching our live stream can see this. So now, what someone has done is apparently there was an older port, what they're calling the BBC Master port, that had a certain set of graphics. There's an animated GIF that I'm looking at and showing you guys, and so they've taken the graphics from that, and based on that, that's what they're using to build the Atari 8-bit one, which has much nicer color. I mean, if you look at them, the two of them at the same time, they look pretty similar in terms of you can clearly see that the graphics have roughly the same sort of sizes and animations going on, but nicer color on the Atari one, and I think it looks kind of fun. I might have to try and download, and this is actually being worked on very actively right now. Some of the latest posts are from a week ago, or even more recently. I think on the final page of this, there's a post from just yesterday. So this is something that is being worked on. Another anime GIF here shows the Shadow Man and the Palace level.
Spoilers.
So I don't know. It looks pretty neat. I'm excited about the prospect of being able to see this happening one day for reals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
So spoilers aside, I will say Shadow Man can bite me. I mean, it's one of the most annoying things ever. Total dill hole. I don't care if it is me; it's still a dill hole.
Excellent. Okay, so I have a thing. Let's see if I can make this
Share your
visible.
screen with you.
Okay, that'll do. Okay, so the news item here is that the ZX Spectrum prototype ROM is now available for download, courtesy of the Boffins. I love the UK. At the UK's Centre for Computing History. So, and I had not been really following this story, but I just kind of wanted to announce it for those who are interested in it. Apparently, they have located a prototype of the ZX Spectrum, and it doesn't actually appear to run, but they managed to dump the ROMs, and they are going to make it available, or maybe they have made it available at the museum's website. So,
Cool.
At the Center for Computing History. So, for research and educational purposes only. So I guess you're not allowed to play a game, but anyway. So I think it's kind of interesting. I have not sort of processed what the differences are between the prototype and the final form. There are things that are different apparently, but anyway. So there's the reason I'm sharing the screen, I suppose, really is just so you can see a picture of the prototype. So it doesn't look like a Spectrum.
But you can kind of see kind of like the hints of what a Spectrum. Imagine this in a case and imagine like, so I'm like, okay. Actually, when I look at this, I think more ZX80 or Z81 rather. So, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so if you're interested in that, then head on over and download the ROM and see if you can run it on. I think it is actually possible to run it in an emulator. There's a piece here somewhere that I was reading that suggested that you could kind of try it out. All right.
Cool.
Let's see. And what is next?
And you have got another link that's super interesting.
That's cool. Okay, so apparently, I have two. I've put two links of my own here. So, but okay, so the next link and the last news link, I guess, is that as of a couple of days ago, as we're recording, apparently the governor of New Jersey has indicated that they desperately need COBOL programmers, which I make a little laughing noise, but yet is not actually really all that funny.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's so I mean, apparently, basically, it just has to do with the unemployment insurance systems and the fact that it is being completely deluged with applications now, and it's running a 40-year-old system that was written in COBOL, and as the stress levels increase on the system, the bugs become evident. But of course, nobody essentially knows how to program in COBOL before, and this is an obvious coming known problem.
Mm-hmm.
But yet here we are. So it's gotten some traffic on the the class computing mailing list and stuff. But look, somebody's now interested in what we know and that sort of thing. Although there is some chance that what they're asking for are volunteers, which is not so great.
But I mean, if you
man.
make code changes, you can probably get yourself a pretty sweet unemployment package.
That's true. That's true.
I signed up, I approved myself, and I am rolling it.
Yeah.
And what are you all going to do about it? It's funny thing is when the governor put out had a press conference and said they needed people with Cobalt computer skills. Like it's like, okay, I'm good with that metal. Do you want me to smelt you some software?
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting. It's interesting and somewhat tragic that it's, that just, it's sort of obvious in a way that this would happen. The thing works, let it keep working. But all the people that are available to fix it when it stops working are no longer using. There's no one around to do it. Right. So
and it's one of those things where nobody wants to pay the unbelievable cost in moving things over when it's not urgent. And nobody has time to do it when it is urgent. So Cobalt stays around forever. Because a lot of times it's like with banking, Cobalt's still used in a lot of systems that everyone's afraid to touch. Yep. Who wants to be the person taking responsibility for moving it over?
Yep.
Virtualization is the key, folks. Be a whole bunch of computers running Cobalt virtual machines. Yeah, I got that. Coprocessors. Hey, it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, I imagine that there probably aren't a lot of people, running COBOL on 60s mainframes or whatever, but at the same time, it's still COBOL and has whatever bugs it has. And
yep.
So there was now, as I know, everybody's been waiting, with bated breath or whatever it is one waits with, for Nathan's email finally to get read. But now we are here. We have arrived.
We have arrived. Nathan, brace yourself.
Yeah. So Nathan wrote to say that he spent a summer a few years ago converting some Fortran 77 code to Fortran 90 for a spacecraft
too new
mission.
school for me.
Yeah. So, so it was a spacecraft mission that NASA deemed mission critical. So they wanted to modernize it by taking it from Fortran 77 to Fortran 90. So that was sort of interesting. It's where was it said? Anyway, let's see. It's succeeded. Some of the Fortran is controlling old telescopes, and some of it's actually even still used to do like cutting edge theoretical modeling. But he said, where was it? The project was one of the least fun I've ever worked on.
Oh,
sounds about right. But and also mentions that he says, when I go to some of these old telescopes that are still doing lots of good work, often in the realm of planet protection and exoplanet transits, it's definitely a trip back in time. Lots of old custom DOS and so forth. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess there's really there are so many other things exerting pressure on one's time. If something is running, even if it is running a 35-year-old program, do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I remember I've never even touched Fortran at all. I would barely recognize it if it was put in front of me. But I remember back in the 90s when, again, Fortran was already way old then. a friend of ours from college, Nick Colt. He was working somewhere, and he said that in some job he was doing, they were using Fortran on purpose for new code because for certain things, doing like massive amounts of mathematical operations, it was so much easier to do this in Fortran than anything else, and because it would automatically parallelize across multiple CPUs, multiple cores, whatever,
Ah.
without a lot of work on your part. Normally, if you're gonna say, okay, I have a huge arrays of stuff and I'm gonna do the same operation on all these, you'll have to use some kind of vector processing API or library to sort of do that for your CPU on your OS, yada yada. And in Fortran, apparently it's not. It's just like if you have a bunch of stuff doing the same thing, you can say just parallelize this, and it will kind of do it. So for certain things, it has some utility still, I guess. But I can't imagine it's a lot of fun to program in. But I don't know. I just sometimes think I ought to learn a little bit of Fortran sometime. Just like I ought to learn a little bit of COBOL sometime,
Yeah.
just to see what the heck it's all about.
And for job security.
And for job security, I can always, if this Swift programming doesn't pan out, I can.
And
fall back to
Fortran's
some COBOL.
Fortran's going to make a big comeback. Speaking of Fortran and funny things, though, do you guys know the whole letter O thing with Fortran? Have we ever talked about that online on the show? So Fortran, it's one of my favorite computer things ever. So I'm pretty sure it was when they were for Fortran 77, but whatever. There's the technical proposals for one of the versions of Fortran. So I think it's 77, where a part of the official proposals was this idea that the letter O is considered harmful because you can confuse when you're reading things between the letter O and the digit 0. So the proposal kind of in jest was what we should do then is to make sure this never happens, we're going to not have the letter O in this software. You can't have O. You can't have O in any variable names. You can't have O in any commands. And also, thankfully, this will get rid of that stupid go-to command that nobody likes, but it just won't exist anymore because you can't type it. You can only type the G and the T. And so there's this whole idea that the letter O is harmful in Fortran. It stuck around for ages. It was, I just think, one of the funniest things in computers. So I loved it. So there's always this idea that in Fortran the letter O is considered harmful. So
That's right.
you
So
Fortran
no for loops.
programmers out there, yeah,
No loops at all, in fact.
yep. And that's also in Fortran. It definitely was Fortran 77 had the whole variable names. The default type was based on the first letter of the variable, which is like super weird. So certain letters, it was something like around I or J through N was integer. And that's where the joke in Fortran is like that God is real because unless he's declared integer, God starts with a G, so therefore it's a real. So Fortran people have the best jokes. Like it might be a weird language, but really funny stuff behind the scenes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I have COBOL for the Apple III. That may be the only sort of like vintage COBOL I have. But they did eventually, like as the Apple III was dying, I think they released COBOL as a kind of like it's kind of like a add-on to Pascal. Like I think
You don't know that in New Jersey, the whole system doesn't run on an Apple III. So, like, you could be strongly in demand in New Jersey right now.
Yeah.
New Jersey needs Paul.
And with that, a word from our sponsor.
New Jersey, come visit. Like, I wonder if there's a New Jersey tourism ad.
Yeah, in the episode just before this, I found and recorded, but then didn't use an ad for Virex, which was an actual spray from Johnson Wax that was that would take care of the viruses of the winter of 1970.
Excellent. Make it come back.
But I suppose I could still use it again.
Yep.
But we were talking about Virex, and I didn't find any Virex ads of the computer sort, but I did find that. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yep.
Oh, gift idea.
Virex, the spray.
Yeah. I feel like I had an idea, and then I lost it again.
That's what the show notes are for.
Yeah.
I got nothing. Checking my bookmarks here. Nope. Nothing under RCR for ideas.
It has to be something. I mean, I guess everything's delivered. I wonder if there's some. Think. This is exciting. Exciting viewing for the.
That's why people
YouTube
tune in
audience.
to the live. Well, it could be like a
Okay.
COBOL
Yeah.
based
Cobol
gift.
gifts.
It must be a well, sure, yeah.
Let's see what Google says for Cobol gifts.
Okay, on Etsy, somebody has a mug, a COBOL mug.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I found something on Cafe Press, but Etsy seems better.
Here, I'll find this link.
Cobol.
Mug.
Oh, you guys know I could do a shameless self promotion.
Do it.
We could have the gift idea could be the T-shirt that I designed.
You designed a T-shirt.
I designed a T-shirt that is for sale on Redbubble right now,
Yeah.
and it is. Remember the famous moment when Steve Ballmer was on stage at a developer conference?
Oh, I saw you on Twitter. Yes, your
Shouting.
developers
Yes,
shirt.
so I made a T-shirt. But it's got him, and it's got
Yes.
the word developers 4 times in ugly
like it.
Windows color font.
I like it. Does it come
okay.
pre-sweat stained?
No, sadly,
Oh,
that's going to be a future edition.
yeah.
You're not the first to ask for that.
Okay.
There have been many. Each time I've mentioned this on Twitter, someone's like, "But it doesn't have the sweat stains."
It should come just with a squirt bottle of some sort.
That's true. Yeah.
I dig it. I think that's a great idea.
That's good.
All right, cool. I'm preparing the link.
Here's the link and then describe it to us.
So this is, I think, the second one in a row that Jack has provided the gift for.
It's Jack's new job. You do it twice in a row. It's your
right.
thing now. That's what happened to Paul. He hosted twice in a row. We're like, you might not know this rule. Oh, I just found little floppy disk iron-on patches. I'm going to add this to our future links.
Yeah, I think actually let me that's interesting. Yeah, there's a couple of kind of cool things. So I did search at Etsy for COBOL. And I like this poster. Let's see if I can. Where can I put the poster that we can see it? We don't necessarily need to use it, obviously, because we have something now. But
You can share your screen. I mean, I assume we're editing all this out. So
that's
It was
true.
it's all gold. It all goes live.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I'm fluent in 3 languages: English, sarcasm, and COBOL. That's cool. Let's see. All right. So if I, okay. So I'm just trying to figure out where the screen is that I can share. Chrome tab. This. Yeah. It just looks nice. Is all. Now I've removed it, but it is this poster that looks like the cover of a book, but COBOL being decomposed. Free delivery to
what it
Canada.
looks like if you put on 3D glasses.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. That was. Nevertheless, we'll go with the developers thing.
Yeah. I dig it.
don't
Good
know.
idea.
Okay. All right. Where is the developers thing? So I can share it.
I put it there.
Very nice. Very
It's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
I actually have one of these shirts now. Actually, I bought one myself, and it's nice. It's good. I'm pleased with it.
All right. And we're back. So what's happening here? Hold on. We're not back. Go away.
What?
I didn't want to. I wanted to make the little purple thing go away, and instead I clicked something else. So, and we're back. And so the hosts retro computing gift idea has, at least for the last couple of weeks, been renamed. Or last couple of episodes been renamed the Jack's retro computing gift idea. But so Jack has a shirt. Tell us about the shirt.
I do. Well, so this shirt was designed to commemorate a famous event in software development history when Steve Ballmer stood on a stage at a Microsoft developer conference and jumped around shouting, "Developers, developers, developers," clapping and stomping. And so I made a T-shirt immortalizing this with an image of Steve Ballmer and the words "developers, developers, developers, developers."
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
fun.
I think, yeah. And, for people who get it, they will think it's great.
Yep. I love it.
So, very nice.
So it's on Redbubble, and you can have it not only on a T-shirt, you can have it like on an iPad case or
Oh yeah.
a shower curtain, or
Cool.
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 there's like
Excellent.
dozens of
Excellent.
things they'll print it up for you on.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah, I should have not stopped sharing because
It's all just print. It's all it's print on demand basically.
Yeah.
If you order one, they will make it, and so I've gone in there and like picked which items it kind of made sense on, took away a few things that did not make sense on. You can get a tote bag, some socks,
Water bottle. Very nice.
a throw pillow, a phone case, all kinds of things. A baby onesie.
I said, you gotta start them off young. Teach my kid COBOL.
Very cool.
So,
All right. So this
I like it.
this definitely
There you
does
go.
something to give to the the newborns in your life.
That's right.
Okay, let's see. So now I think when you're done buying that, here we go. When you're done buying your developers onesie, you can head over to eBay. Carrington has a couple of things for you to consider.
I do indeed. And the first one, Apple II software, it's button and badge maker. What I like about this is it's still sealed software. I'm sharing the screen. Do you guys see it? Yes, I'm sharing the screen. No, you'll get it eventually.
There we go.
And it comes with the button stuff. So it's like if you're going to make physical buttons and badges, this comes with that. So it even says there's additional button and badge stock available you can buy, but it's really fuzzy. But if you look closely at the text, it says you can make your badges with the materials that come with this. So I'm not sure. There's no side shot, so I don't know if this is that it comes with a whole button maker, like the press stuff, or if it's just the individual buttons and maybe it's perforated paper that you print onto and then stuff in. But I'm not sure. But I thought this was really cool, and this is the kind of thing for $20 or $19, buy it now, that somebody could get and bring to like Kansas Fest or something, and it would be really fun to make custom buttons on an Apple II at something like Kansas Fest. So I just, for $19, a sealed software that I hadn't heard of before. So that's not a bad buy, and I like that it comes with actual button make materials. So I think it's pretty cool. Hadn't heard of it, but I'm not going to buy it. But I think somebody else should. I think Paul should buy this if he doesn't already have at least 3 copies. Paul, how many copies of this software do you have?
I do not think I have this at all. Who's it by? I don't recognize this company logo.
Nope, I don't recognize anything about this thing. It's does it say? I don't know. It's super out of focus. It's like it's so dark. I don't know. The photos are terrible, but it's button software still in shrink wrap. I dig it.
There were a couple of these things, these sort of like craft programs or whatever. So I'm trying to remember now who made it. It might have been Broderbund or somebody made a T-shirt maker. So and it comes with a T-shirt. Like an iron-on maker or something like that. And then there's a couple. I think what is it called? I forget the name of the company, but like make your own book kind of things. Where
Right, yeah. There's a few of those. So I just had never seen this one.
Yeah.
And just something that's sealed software for the Apple II that's under $20 is usually a good buy. And so it appealed to me. It appealed to me because I can imagine certain instances in which somebody would use this in like a public thing. So when in the future we get to have gatherings again, people go to Kansas Fest, and this would be a super fun thing to have in your room and say, people come by, you can make a button on the Apple II. Like, how fun would that be? So it appealed to me. So that was my first choice. Second choice, I'll flip over to here, is to make the $19 seem like a good bargain. Here's one for $1,000, buy it now. Apple HD Drive Concept Prototype. Don't get too excited. It's a plastic box, but it's like, here's the pictures of them. So there's zoomed in picture, and there's this thing about the size, kind of, but a little bit bigger, weirdly, than a Duo Disc. So that seems like a bad prototype because that means it's going to stick slightly over your Apple IIe. And it really is just a box. So here it is on the Apple IIe, kind of sticking over there on the left. This is slightly too big, but that's it. It just opens up as a tray. There's nothing inside it, no electronics, no anything. Is this an Apple prototype? I don't think so, but it's just a box. Has some soldering points or points where you could make things light up, but all it is a plastic box. It's got feet. A lot of things at this age don't have feet, but that's it. It's a plastic box, supposedly a prototype for what a hard drive might look like for an Apple II. How prototypey it is, I don't know, but it's $1,000. That's a lot of money. Now that $19 software seems pretty cheap, huh?
It is interesting. I don't know. They actually just talked about this on the Retro Maccast too. So
those
I
guys.
heard about this, but I hadn't gone and looked it up.
This was actually I had saved this for the previous episode, and I think I forgot about it. So it's actually been on eBay it's been re-upped by the seller.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I feel like the stuff that this seller has had in the past, it's not crazy to me to think that it might have been sourced at Apple somewhere. But it is true that with no story, it feels a little difficult.
Right.
And it's quite possible that nobody knows the story. It may have just like the story. Maybe this was in the garbage.
Yeah, but who knows?
Yeah.
And I must be an episode behind at the Retro Maccast because I actually do listen. So that means I have a podcast to listen to.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
it. Is it
interesting
worth
to see this
$1,000?
stuff.
I don't know. Can I convince Paul to buy this? Probably not. But this is here mostly to make that $19 button software seem like a bargain.
I mean, the thing is that honestly, you could make this yourself, even if maybe Apple did. But I mean, like, it's a box with a sticker and a couple of holes where there's.
But if you
red
look
plastic.
if you look really carefully, like here's the cutout, the slightly oval cutout for where the inset is for the Apple logo. But if you look very carefully at it, you see the corners are notched. So the logo inset hasn't been cut. Now, again, could be a prototype because it was just done by hand and they want to knock and stick it in there. But it's certainly not done to the kind of quality one would expect as an actual Apple prototype and just like everything's just a little rough.
Right.
But it's our first prototype just as an idea, let's mock up something really quick and stick it on a computer. Say, well, what do you think? Would this work? Would this, just before we spend any actual time on it, it's like a very first rough draft prototype, maybe. But it's not the kind of thing you're going to get out of, like, this isn't something like that would have come from, who are the people that did the Snow White stuff?
Frog design.
Yeah, this is not a Frog thing.
Right.
I mean, it looks kind of cool in a way.
Yep.
I mean, like,
Yep.
I
And
would,
as a drawer, a secret drawer to put on top of your Apple IIe to like hold your stash or something. I don't know. I thought it was cool kids do with drawers. That could be kind of neat.
excellent. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So
Anyway,
you look at like here in this, we're looking at a photo right now of the Duo Disc on top of this thing, and you see the Duo Disc with the nicely inset Apple logo with the emboss, and then here, clearly it's just a printed thing, not quite the right aspect ratio. Like that's a major, like something that's slightly wider than the Apple logo should be. That's not the kind of thing Apple would mess up on usually, I think. But also could easily be an Apple internal prototype that was knocked up really quickly to put on a computer.
Yeah.
But it sets off a
Yeah.
lot of design elements that look a little wrong to me for Apple.
I think to the extent that it is real, that's exactly what it is. It's like this is the thing that they made right before they made the prototype, and
Right.
it didn't make it to that second
See,
step.
isn't even a thing. Let's mock it up, and people walk in and say, "Oh, what do you think of doing something like that? This would be kind of the height. Would that get in the way? If you put a monitor on this, would that be a good height? Like just to get a very rough idea. I could see it being that kind of thing. So I spend 20 minutes and knock up something really fast. Still kind of neat. Still kind of cool.
Yeah, if it
But
were
for $1,000, oh my goodness.
yeah, I wonder if you could produce something like that. Like I almost might get something that was like this newly made and not labeled a prototype, but just kind of like a little box that you could put there to stick your discs in or whatever.
Yep. It would be a really nice holder for something that is a like a drive emulator thingy. So if you've got
exactly.
a floppy disk emulator, it goes inside that. And so for the buttons to change your CFFA or something like that, and this kind of holds the card and then plugs in. Something like that would be nice because it fits the aesthetic of the Apple II. Anyway, that was my second choice. Thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. And I have a pile of things,
Excellent.
as I always do.
Hit us.
Let's see if I can figure out a way to share that whole screen.
Sure you can.
Okay, let's see. Oh, and I can stop sharing yours.
Yeah, you
Well,
can.
in a second.
I can stop sharing mine. I'll show you. Ha.
Okay.
That I have control over.
I think it's this one. Yeah, okay. I think that is the screen I had in mind, although it's not the auction that I had in mind. But I'll talk about this one.
Okay.
I guess.
I'm like, you're starting with number 3. Got it. Okay, cool.
Yep. And so this is actually, there's not a whole lot to say about this really. It's just that it's a little collection of Apple logo items. So there's these stickers that, and they're the old style stickers. So they've got the Mater Tectura font on it, right? That would come with your sort of older Apple IIs. And I think there are 10 of each, which is kind of why I thought that was almost worth it, because these are, they're obviously not rare, but they're, to get these older ones is a little bit unusual. And then there's an Apple pin. It's possible that in real life it's more in focus than this photo shows, but a little, it's
These
a
are
little Apple
actually
pin.
out of focus in real life.
Yeah. Little Macintosh pen, little Apple IIc launch pen. I think that actually the Apple IIc pen is a little bit rare. So, and the whole thing is a $24 buy it now. So I think it's probably pretty good. If you wanted to bid on it, it's $11 bid. So this is actually relatively cheap, I would say, if you were looking for these. I don't think I don't have the Macintosh one actually, the little square Macintosh pin, but that's okay, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first one. I thought this was interesting. It is a TRS-80 X10 Whistler. It's called. So it's basically sort of like an appliance control system, X10 appliance control system that you run on the TRS-80, and so it comes with a little interface box and a cassette and a photocopied stapled manual.
Which is something I always liked. I liked the era when manuals and things were photocopied and stapled, and I like the baggy era. Like that actually endears something to me. But something a little less professional is something that draws me more aesthetically than the newer stuff.
So I don't.
X10 was cool.
What? Sorry.
X10 stuff was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I used to use that actually all the time in an uncomputer related way. I had a little remote and there were lights that it was sort of inconvenient to turn on and off, but I could use a little button to do that. So, in fact, I still have, even now, I don't think you can, I'm not sure you can buy them anymore, but I still have a plant light that's controlled by this.
Paul's got to grow up.
Yeah, actually, no, I'm in, I moved into an apartment that where the idea was to be here temporarily while we looked for a real place to be. This was 11 years ago. But at any rate, the window that the plant lives in is actually, it's basically the only place we can put it, and it's it's like in an interior courtyard, so there's no direct sun. So it's been sitting under this light for that decade.
Plastic plants, way of the future.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Says the guy with a
Right.
empty plant pot behind him. That's been empty for a month and a half.
Yeah. RAP plant.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah. So it's a little X10 system. I don't know why it's called Whistler, but it seems to say something that makes it sound like there's some sound involved, but maybe not. I mean,
I was wondering, can you actually whistle to this thing, or is it to make it turn things on and off, or is that just what it's called?
I think it's just what it's called, because it says it contains an ultrasonic oscillator and piezoelectric transducer, which is controlled by pulses from the tape recorder output port. But I think that just means that is the way you talk to the box with the tape recorder output port. So it still sends the pulses over the electrical wires. But anyway, yeah, and there's the Apple Cat modem had a BSR adapter that would let you do X10 stuff. And I have it. I have tried and failed to turn on a lamp. So that's how far I got with it. But I would like it to work. That Apple Cat, man. I guess we were talking about that a couple times ago, but it had a touch tone decoder you could add so that you could send it commands, and you could connect it to your lamps, so you could conceivably call your house and have it turn on your lamp.
Yep. Conceivably.
This modem, very very cool modem. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna go to the best Norton Utilities edition that there was.
Is this the best one?
I think it is because
Okay.
it has a white disc that has a picture of Peter Norton on it.
Oh, well, that's fancy.
I would really like to have this, and part of the reason I want it, I think, is because I remember having this disc at work.
Okay, what's messing with my mind as I see the floppy disk, it's got the picture of Peter Norton, and I think of him as a man from 1980 through late 1990s, never uncrossed his arms. Every
Yeah.
photo is him crossed out. I get that. But then the Norton Utilities box shows him with his sleeves rolled up. I'm used to that. But his hands in his pockets. What? That's a very casual Norton. He was always Mr. Judgy Norton with his, like, oh, I told you so, arms crossed.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
true.
I've ever seen an image of Peter Norton without his arms crossed. I just walked around all the time. Grub, 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 viruses everywhere. Grub, grub, grub. Just looking smarmy with the cross arms. And here he is, hands in pockets. Casual Friday Norton Utilities. I love it.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Remarkable.
And what is funny is that he repeatedly had his picture taken. Like, he ages over the years in these images. So
Someone's got to make a flip book.
yeah, that'd be disturbing.
He should have had a portrait of himself in the attic. That's a rookie mistake.
But yeah, so this one comes in a box. I'll split that disc in that box, but it's still kind of cool. And you have the rare hands in pocket.
Exactly. That's why it's collectible. Hands in pockets.
Yeah, $25 buy it now. I was tempted, but I have not yet bought it. Close, though, you can see. So
Oh, right. Okay. Interesting though. So you'd want this to use it or just to collect it and scan it?
I think the disc is cool. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like I don't know that it is the best edition of the software, but
Just the most visually appealing.
yeah, version 3, I think it is 3.0. There's somewhere I had.
He'd be a really easy Halloween costume.
Yeah,
My girlfriend, who lives in Canada, I got to mention her.
Yep.
She had a nightmare a couple nights ago that Halloween was now over, because she goes, "When's the next time you're going to let your kids
yeah.
just walk door to door and take food directly from people and eat them?" And I'm like, "Don't even say that. Halloween is my favorite thing in the world." She goes, "Nope. Hope you enjoyed it. Halloween is now done." I'm like, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry forever. Then if they're taking Halloween, I'm taking Christmas. You guys don't get to have Christmas if I can't have Halloween. Love Halloween.
yeah. Oh well.
Yep.
We'll see.
Actually, it would be pretty funny though to dress as Peter Norton and see it, like
Right? Just walk
anybody would get
around.
it.
It's like-
With your arms crossed.
yep.
Okay, so this is the Quest Super Elf single board computer.
Yes, I know nothing about this. What the heck is a super elf?
I don't know.
And was
I
there an
don't know
elf?
either. I think this actually is in the box that it came in. So this might have been one of these.
Like this
1802
wooden box is the box it came in?
Well, I mean, I don't think this is a kit I don't think this is a homebrew box. I think this is when you bought it from the company.
Oh my
it came in
goodness,
this
I
box.
assumed it was homebrew. I thought it was just a really good homebrew. Cool.
Yeah. Either that or everybody used the same pattern to build their boxes because
Oh,
I've
okay.
seen other ones like this.
Oh, okay.
But
I
that's
guess
also
I'm
possible.
just unaware of this thing.
So when you open the back, it looks like there's not much going on there, but in fact, actually, that's just because most of the stuff's on the other side of the board. But I think it is. I think it is related to this, Cosmic Elf thing, which I think was an 1802 computer. There's a speaker. You can sort of see some stuff going on under there. I feel like I did look up some stuff, and then I didn't copy the links. But anyway, it's. I think it started lower than that. It's currently at a current bid of 202.50. So it's possible that I would not have been so eager to put this in. No, I guess it started at 195. So anyway, I think it's fairly rare. And it's probably interesting to those who follow the elf. Oh, and actually, I do remember now that I looked something up, and so it's got these little LED displays.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Are those LEDs supposed to have LED displays, or are these holes cut out in the front of it? Or the top of it, I guess.
Well, I think they must be in there. It would be nice to see it on, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it's like little 7-segment LEDs.
Right, okay.
And but it has the ability to maybe I can actually find this in the Super Elf.
So this is a single board computer. So this is like an S100 thing?
it is. Let's see, RCA 1802. Yeah, I was not wrong. Here, let me I'll just pop this on here on the same page. Okay, it's the Old Computer Museum's thing about the Super Elf. It is RCA 1802.
Okay.
And so it had this like those little seven segment LED. I guess I said LCD, but I meant LED display. And it also had this an 1861 video chip that could generate a video image of 128 by 64 dots.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So that I think is pretty cool.
That's very cool. That's surprising for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
For like, what is this? It's got to be late 70s? 77, 78 kind of thing? It's got to be around there.
I wonder if it says.
It says 1978.
On the circuit
Okay.
board, it said 78.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, I think it would be pretty interesting to play around with it. I don't, we don't know if that one works, but at any rate, see, this box looks pretty similar to the one in the auction. I think that's here on the Old Computer Museum site. But anyway, if you were interested and you had a couple $100 and time, then it's located in Cleveland, Georgia.
I have time.
Yeah.
What'll time get me?
Yeah. I'll come back to that one. Boy, I really apparently my link foo is pretty poor here. I think basically I thought I opened a bunch of tabs that didn't actually wind up getting open, so I'll just paste them in.
It's all good.
Digicomp
Digicomp one.
Yeah, every time I see one, I have to mention it. And the thing is that I think this one actually looks a little bit more like the box I have, but I think there were a couple different boxes. But this is first real operating digital computer in plastic, and you build the thing out of these little plastic pieces. There's when it's finished, it looks like this little image here on the front in 1960s.
I like these things so much.
I really like the colors on this.
I like I just like that you're building this thing out of this is something I would have. I mean, I'm never going to pull a trigger on these auctions, but
Yeah.
I would happily have one of these. And even as a minimalist, I wouldn't just immediately get rid of it. Something cool about these things.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually seen one like in the flesh?
Nope.
Plastic
Only
flesh?
only photos.
Okay.
I've only seen photos.
I have one of these and built it.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
It comes with a bunch of the things actually that didn't survive well are the rubber bands, but those are replaceable.
But those are, I'm going to say that's an easily replaceable thing. And the rest of it's all just piece of plastic, right?
Yeah, it's like a little. There's a couple of little metal rods, and the rubber band service springs basically.
Yeah.
And so you sort of like you pull the thing, and it sort of mechanically just moves everything around. You're when you pull the thing, it's like a clock cycle. Right.
I think it's awesome. I dig it.
And this one actually comes with a little Think-A-Dot brochure as well, which I thought was
the Think-A-Dot. How many episodes in a row can we mention the Think-A-Dot? Love the Think-A-Dot. It's a game and also fun.
Yep. But anyway, so this is this box.
Nice. Cool.
And you guys, I just found something interesting.
Ooh, what'd you find?
You can 3D print this thing.
Oh,
I think
really?
we mentioned that. It's a Think-A-Dot we mentioned you could 3D print. Yeah, of course you'd be able to 3D print this. Yeah. Do you have a link to okay, Thingiverse has a link.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. So that seems like it would be fun to do.
This would be, again, I could see.
That'd be a good gift idea.
This would be a great gift idea. Stop talking now. We'll discuss it next episode. It's a terrific gift idea, and would be a fun project to do. A bunch of people could print this out and put it together at Kansas Fest kind of thing. And so I like it.
Neat. Very cool. Okay.
I mean, this is the Redux one. I kind of like the original thing.
Yeah, Max did a very quick search. There may be other.
Yeah. And even the original would absolutely be something that could be 3D printed. Like Paul was saying, it's just cut out little plastic flat boards and a couple of metal bent rods and elastic bands. There's not really that much to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. I dig it. I dig this.
Excellent.
What else do you got for us, Paul?
I have
Shopping with Paul.
compatibility card.
Hey.
I just just because it came up and we were talking about something sort of similar at the beginning.
So this is later. Like I was talking about the Mac 86 stuff back that
Right.
ran in the SE era, and so this would be for the Power PCs, right?
Right.
The the 6100, I think it was, and there was also the 660 had a version of this that you can get with the DOS compatibility card. I think 6100 definitely,
Yeah.
and I think maybe the Quadra came as a version of this too.
Yeah, I certainly there was like a pizza box looking one that
Yeah, the
that had a
6100
DOS
is the big flat one. But I think the 6100 also, there was the 660 AV. And I think there was like that era, a 660 PC compatible one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
This seems like this was actually sort of, I mean, it's possible that partly I went for it because it was cheap, to mention it, because it's starting at $39 bid. It has a bid now, and it's possible that people will jump into it, but I don't know very much about these. Like, I do have, it's like so many of these things. I have one that I have not really tried. So I also have, there's another one, Orange PC made a bunch of these cards too for, I think, Macintosh 2 type computers.
Yeah, in fact, I think Orange PC is the one. There was the Mac 86, the Mac 286, like those cards, and I think Orange Micro bought out the company, and so it was the same cards then branded by Orange.
Oh, that could be.
I have a vague memory of that Orange, and then they made their own versions. But I'm pretty sure that like the Mac 286 and the Mac 86 cards that originally came out, then that company got gobbled up or in some way by Orange, and it was the same cards rebranded later by Orange going into the early 90s. I think. People will write in. People who are screaming into their headphones right now, like, he knows nothing. They can write in and correct us. That's how we get our feedback. I say nonsense and we get feedback. It's great. Yeah. It's the cycle of podcasting.
I would like to try it. I would like to try this and the various PCs running in non-PCs.
See, that's the thing. We talk about, like, I don't have a lot of... Oh, of course, we talk about, do I have any coprocessor things? Yeah, the Apple IIe card. I love the Apple IIe card. I have an Apple IIe card, or had an Apple IIe card. Yeah. And I can't believe that never occurred to me. There's the other story I would have had to talk about this. And I'm a huge fan of that. I've always been a fan of, like, as a minimalist, I like the idea of having one computer that can do a whole bunch of things. Pick that one retro computer and make it like an LC2 through 4 or 475 that has a 2E card in it, or the 630, or something like a PowerPC Mac with a DOS compatibility card. Like, I love the 2-in-1 kind of idea. I can't believe that never even occurred to me. We should do a show about it.
Yeah. Right.
I might have things to say.
Okay, so this next one, not this one.
Not this one, not that one. Yeah.
So Ian pointed this one out to me, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I'd never seen this before. It's called The Mate. It is... I don't know what the company is. It says here, sorry about this. Okay, Applied Concepts Inc. is the company. But
what's a responsory board?
Well, so I think it's the little pieces have, so it's a chessboard that you plug into your Apple II, and there's a chess program called, what's it called? Destiny, that uses it, and the little pieces have magnets on the bottom.
Do they move?
So it can tell, it can see where you moved. I don't know if it can move the pieces itself, but it can see where you moved at least.
Oh, I see. And then that's why it's got all those little dots. And then it would flash and say, okay, move this one to here. That makes sense, because you'd be jumping and stuff. Like, it couldn't move on its own. It just like pings it, so that when it castles, it's hilarious to watch as it flicks from below and hopes they land in the right square. I would totally have been all over that.
Be excellent.
It would be completely excellent.
Oh, that's.
I think a version of this that is like chess / Subbuteo, where you flick your men into position, would be a chess game I could get behind. I'm just saying.
Well, if you've already got something magnetized, I wonder if you could surround it by reverse polarity magnets to have it sort of like float up over the other piece.
And then you have certain pieces that are visible and certain pieces that are just magnetic walls that stop someone else from moving. I'm moving here. No, you're not. I like it. Anyway, this is also still really cool that you'd actually just move the man and then the computer knows where you moved. That's really cool. I did not know that this was a thing.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this before. There's a little card that you plug in. It's a very simple little card, 6522, for those who remember the previous episode, the little serial negotiator or whatever it is. And it comes with a disc. Destiny is the name of their chess game. And when I saw this picture, I think we've talked about this before, about how the modern world is full of magnets.
Yes.
But I look at this and I think, oh, don't do that.
Right. For back in that period, it's like, let's package this together. Here's your disc and here's your highly magnetic board bundled in a little tiny box. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Weird. I don't know. I mean, like, I hope that the board itself is not magnetized to the degree that taking this photo emptied the disc. But yeah, anyway. And there was definitely a taped version of this too. In fact, it's possible that this originally had a cassette.
It does hurt to see the photo that the person put of the original disc lying on top of this magnet board, and it's even a disc that's where it's typed out like on a typewriter, the mate kind of thing. So it's like, were there only 7 of these, and you just completely demagnetized an incredibly rare disc? That'd be sad and hilarious.
Yeah, it's possible that it's been captured out there somewhere, but.
Everything's been captured. Don't have to worry about it. No more need for archiving. Ask at 4 a.m. It's all done.
I could have sworn I read on this that it came with a cassette. Contents. Chess program on cassette. Yeah, there it is. So I think that it's quite possible that maybe this was a disc version that they put in a cassette box, but at any rate, they probably really, since I've never heard of this before, my guess is that they didn't sell a huge number.
Yeah, I've definitely never seen it before. This is super cool.
Yeah, it is a $750 buy it now. So
Eek.
It's gonna be there for a while.
Pricey.
And to be honest, when it was first listed, it was a $500 buy it now, or maybe it was a $400 buy it now. But
that'll show you for not jumping on it.
Yeah,
this is a seller who knows what's up. Hey, don't make me make it $950.
That's true. Sometimes I have seen, sellers where the price will. They'll change the price and they'll just go down a little bit every week or whatever, when it's every couple of weeks when they relist it. But I have also seen someone that will just raise the price a little bit every week. So it's like, okay, well, if you're going to wait,
if you're watching this, like, exactly. Someone who knows. Nice. I like it.
Okay. And I think there was an auction that was connected to this. I will put the auction. Oops. What's happening? I don't want the settings.
The APMSX card.
Yeah. So this is it's a modern card that basically lets you play MSX games on an Apple II.
Oh, modern card, like this isn't a vintage thing. This is something somebody's making now.
Yep. So this is Ian Kim from Apple2.net.
Nice.
Just put this together. And
so, what are APMSX games?
MSX. So it's the
sure, right, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's this platform.
I get it. Apple. I got there. Eventually.
Right. But yeah. So I think was it Microsoft that was behind MSX? I guess maybe where is what the M and S are in MSX. But sort of supposed to be like a common Z80 platform.
Yeah, so a platform. I feel like it was mostly Japanese computers that.
Right, I think of it that way too.
But so it is a Z80, based thing, and so you can use something that's kind of like a soft card or whatever, but with sort of extra capacity to be able to run MSX stuff. So, and it comes with a little, you can sort of see it here, a little kind of like joypad. Homebrew joypad.
Right. Nice.
So, Jorma, who listener to the show, at least in the past, wrote up a little thing about this on FinApple, finapple.hho.fi, Apple II in Finland. But so he did a little review of this, talking about what MSX is, and here we can actually sort of see what comes with the thing. It's the card and cables and this little kind of controller, and it has a lot of connections.
It does have a lot of connections. My goodness!
But it's kind of a neat idea. It's one of these things where,
I agree.
It's not clear that you need this product to exist, but whatever. I suppose MSX actually it's a platform that I don't know very well. I think there are a lot of people who collect a lot of these things, and I think maybe more in Europe than here. But so I'm a little bit ignorant about this. I think I might have one MSX machine. So, which as usual, has yet to be turned on. But anyway, so that and it is possible to buy this directly from Apple2.net. I think. I don't think you have to do it through eBay, but the seller on eBay is where to go now. Is Ian Kim. So I mean, like you're getting it from the direct source if you get it from the eBay auction.
Good.
And the eBay auction is $255. So it's an investment, but getting an actual MSX machine wouldn't be all that much less, actually.
Yeah, and it saves space. Again, I love the 2-in-1 nature of something like this.
Yeah. Okay, I think I made it through. Did I? Oh, I didn't. No, there's one more.
There's another one
more. I thought this was kind of interesting. I don't know if anyone else will, but okay, so it is.
We'll tell you.
It is a TRS-80 program pack file, and it's basically like these disk holders that you can find, many of, but it's TRS-80 branded, and it is made for holding the little program packs for the Coco and stuff.
Okay.
I think of these as Coco cartridges. Yeah.
Yeah. I had never seen one before. It's not surprising to me that it exists, but I had never seen one before. Carrington, did you have one?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I, like most people, would have a bunch of software on carts, these little program packs, when I had the Coco, and I would open up the package, totally destroying when I do so, read the instructions, sort of, then chuck it in the garbage, and I would simply have the little things, the little cartridges, just spewed around the desk, and getting, of course, that's how I treated everything as a kid.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, there's something that's sort of pleasing about the whole Radio Shack branding.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like there's anything complicated about it, but that little silver and black and sort of just that logo looks really nice. So
yeah, it's funny. There's certain aesthetics that over time have become things that I really like or really dislike, and they're not the same opinions I had back in the day. But one of the things that just continually appeals to me more is Radio Shack stuff from this era. Big fan. And same with that Atari stuff from slightly later than this era. I wasn't even I wasn't an Atari guy, and I wasn't a fan of it at the time. But now, more and more, I love the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic so much.
Yeah.
Some things I think just were done in a way that they have aged really well, and other things have aged really poorly. But some things have aged, I think, particularly well. And some of the Radio Shack stuff just has a lovely vintage appeal to me.
So this, if you want to bid for it, it feels a little expensive, but it was interesting mainly just in its existence, not so much as an auction. But it's a $46 first bid, or you can buy it for $64. So.
It does seem pricey for a plastic lid.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's specialized. It's a little bit like the many Atari cartridge holders that exist out in the world, except that I guess there's just fewer.
And if you had a Radio Shack thing at the time, if you have a vintage Coco, this would be a cool thing to have beside it. So.
Yeah. Okay, I think that is it for me.
Cool.
So, and now I guess we can turn to closing discussions.
Closing discussions. Who's got one?
Carrington, you have written something.
Have I? What have I written? Oh, yes. Okay. I forgot about this. So I've had a vague plan to make a copy of the lamp from Joe versus the Volcano forever. Love the movie, and I want the lamp. I want the darn lamp. I want it to rotate. I want it to play the song. I want the actual lamp. And I have, if you know the movie and you know the lamp, there's like a hula girl on it. And I got that. That was easy to get. And so that particular hula girl comes up all the time on eBay. Easy to find. What's more difficult to find is this. I'll hold up the screen. Little tiny finial. So this little piece here screws on the top of a lamp, and it's a little pineapple finial. And this is the thing that is on the top of the Joe versus Volcano lamp. So I now have that. So now I have two pieces. No lampshade or anything like that, but I have the finial and I have the hula girl. So next I got to start working on the shade and the bass and a way to rotate and play music. But I got the pineapple finial, so I'm quite happy about that.
That's cool.
Not vintage computer oriented, but difficult to find pineapple finial. That's the exact match. Looking at like these things and then looking at screenshots, wait, no, that's not quite the one. So finally got the exact right one. So hooray for that.
So should I watch this movie?
Yes, you should watch this movie. It is amazing. Yes.
Okay.
Most people will not like it. So I don't necessarily advocate it, but it's my favorite film. So yes, I think people should watch it.
I watched it just like once, almost 30 years ago,
It's not enough.
and I liked it.
Yeah.
I remember liking it. I don't remember. It was never enough that I felt like I need to go watch that again. But I remember that I enjoyed it, and I remember, that, like you said,
Loved it. From
Most
first
people did
viewing,
not.
I saw it in the cinema, and I walked out, bought a ticket, walked back in, and watched it again. First movie I ever did that for. I was like, nope, give me more of that. Like, just immediately. It was about halfway through the film. There's been a few films that I've watched that partway through I realized I'm loving this too much, and they're going to wreck it. I'm not going to make it through this film and really like it. There's no way they're going to sustain this. I'm already disappointed, but it made it through. So it stuck the landing. To me, most people, no, it is rightfully, wrongfully, mostly not a liked film, but it is what it is. For the few of us, it's awesome. I adore it. Every frame of it.
cool.
I don't
Yes,
have
like, look, I have a tattoo. This tattoo, Joe versus
related?
Volcano. Yep.
Nice.
Watch the movie. I can't work cameras apparently. I can't bend my arm that way. But there you go.
yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
have to watch the movie to see what that tattoo means because I do not remember that.
It's
at all.
all the way through. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's
You'll
cool.
see it. You'll see that come up a bunch of times as things change in the film. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What was the okay, I can't remember it, so I won't ask. Never mind. But yeah, I definitely have heard positive things.
Things.
said about
I've heard
Joe versus
things.
Volcano, but
Yeah. I mean, some people love it, like a lot of cult films. Like some people just adore it, like I do. But most people are like, oh, "What? Why?" But I adore it.
think
I love
largely-
everything about it.
for me, I think largely it's just that like the poster, the poster and plot summary didn't make it seem like, okay, I need to see this.
Right.
It's like you need some sort of separate thing that says this is worth your time, regardless
Yeah,
of what the poster
I am
says.
that thing. It is worth your time.
Okay. All right. Anyway, let's see. Jack, do you have anything?
No,
Any closing notes?
not really. No.
Table full of cables.
Table full of cables. Yeah.
That's the nature of the world. I keep asking people, "Oh, so what'd you do?" Nothing. We're all staying home. No one's doing anything.
Yeah. Still watching game shows, I suppose.
Sometimes.
That's what I'm doing. But no, I mean, yeah, actually, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of extra time recently, and there's a lot of stress trying to wait for the online delivery window to be available and that kind of thing. But so yeah, not much to report for me either. But I'm hopeful that at some point there will be something to report.
Yeah, be hopeful. That's important.
Well, I guess the one thing that I've been doing that is retro but is not retro computing is that I've decided to get better at jazz. So I
Oh yeah, you're doing your once a day jazz standards things, right?
yeah, and it's actually really fun. Like every day I pick some old jazz standard that I that is a song. Usually they're songs that I know that I've heard and have maybe sung along to or whatever, but I haven't really I've never learned to play them on guitar or anything. And so I pick a song and I learn it well enough on guitar or on ukulele that I can make a recording that I'm not horribly embarrassed of and put it on Instagram. And for me, that is kind of the key step to actually making myself do it, is that I've kind of made a sort of pledge to, whoever happens to see it, that I'm doing this every day in April.
Yep.
So it's an external deadline that even though I made it up myself, it still, it compels me to do it in a way that if I was just saying, yeah, I'll just do this, and no one else, no one
Yeah, I'm
else
the same
knew.
way. It's only the goals that I express to the world that motivate me to stick with them, because the shame of not keeping it up is what motivates me to keep going. I have to tell my goals to everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it's
Because
fun.
even then, I usually fail. But without that, if it's a secret in my head only goal, there's not a chance. No way. Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot that you were doing that.
Yep, it's pretty neat. It's fun.
Yeah, I do think that externalizing your goals that way, I think you still want to keep them realistic though, because as soon as you start like missing half of them publicly, then you will miss the rest of them because it doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, sure, right, yes.
Right.
So-
And so for me, the goal is not that each day I'm going to have a song that I've learned to agree to, that is polished to any degree that I feel like, wow, I could perform this and people would applaud. It's just it has to be good enough that yeah, if somebody watches and hears that, they'll say, yeah, he did it. He powered through it somehow. It's not Not that anybody would want to hear it again, but it's like it's a baseline of yes, that was.
I agree that
Completed.
is
Check.
that song.
That is that song. Check.
Nice. Still cool, very cool.
Excellent.
What about you, Paul? What do you got?
Yeah, not much to speak of really. So I'm hopeful, but yeah, and at some point I do have a couple of sort of retro computing things here. I have an Apple IIc Plus sitting next to me and connected to a big monitor, and I can at least play games.
Did you change the ROM in it? Do you have Quinn's ROM in the C++?
I don't think I have. No, this one is sped up, but I don't have the new ROM.
I don't have a C++, but I have that ROM.
Oh, perfect.
The few things I have, though, in my teeny tiny retro computer, like physical collection that I've got left, I still have a ROM. Don't have a 2C+, but if I've ever had a 2C+, I'm going to want it to have that ROM. So it's one of those get it while you can things. So I'm like, nope, I want this ROM. So the ROM I kept.
Yeah,
So
well, and I think
what's special about this ROM?
It'll boot you into the regular speed, the 1 megahertz speed, and it fixes the sound of the beep. So it's correct.
Okay.
These
so
things
one of
matter.
the things that's sort of interesting about the Apple IIc Plus is it's accelerated from the other Apple II models, so it runs at a faster speed. I forget what it is. It might be 5 megahertz.
Too fast to run games is what it is.
Yeah. And
why else would you want these things? Except for, I mean, great back then when it was like for word processing or whatever. Sure, faster is better, and you'll just boot to the slower speed when you want to play a game. But nowadays it's 90% gaming, so you want your default to be the slower speed, and so it does that. Yeah.
but it was also sort of similarly due to the fact that the whole thing was running at faster speed, and the Apple II is like the processor is responsible for making the tones and the beeps and stuff. So the beep on the 2C Plus doesn't sound like the beep on a 2C, and so that was the other thing that Quinn was solving. And actually, it's the write-up is super interesting. Maybe I should find a way to
crazily detailed and weird, because the ROM, like, it appears in 2 parts of memory and it like dives in and like it's just fascinating. She did a presentation at Kansas Fest on how this was done. It is so much more complicated and interesting than you could possibly think it would be. It was remarkable. And it's one of those things where halfway through you're thinking, I cannot believe you didn't give up. Like, this is just, how does this possibly end in success? There's so much involved in getting this thing done. Remarkable. Just absolutely remarkable achievement. Yeah.
Sweet.
It is really interesting how the ROM takes up more space than there is. So it has to kind of page back and forth, but the program counter has to, like, when you switch banks, the next instruction that the program counter fetches has to be something valid, right? So it's really it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that the thing even worked in the first place. But.
Exactly. It makes it work in the first place, and it's amazing that you could make changes to it. So I can fit this in here, fit this in there, and it's like, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Anyway, so that's, at some point maybe I will play a game, and that will count as my plan.
Nice.
But, all right, I think
that's it.
Close us off. We managed to do an almost 2-hour show again, as usual. But
so we
that's
do.
Good.
That's our brand.
Yeah. So that's it for the show. You can find the show notes for this and all the RCR shows at rcrpodcast.com. You can discuss the show in the forums at vcfed.org/forum/forum.php. You can follow RCR on Twitter at RCR Podcast. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/RCR Podcasts, or send feedback to feedback@rcrpodcast.com. We are a member of the Throwback Network at throwbackreviews.com. And if you wish, you may write a review on iTunes. You have our permission. And until next time, Retro
compute.
Okay, cool.
All right. We did it.
So what is next topic?
Don't know.
Hey,
But,
there's an
I will
email
end the broadcast.
down below. Bye, broadcast.
All right.